Thank you for being on the show.
Hey, man, wait, are you talking about me? Was that for
I
me?
sure am talking about you.
Well, man, I really appreciate it, and thank you for having me on tonight.
Absolutely. What first drew you to the world of backyard barbecuing, and then what was the turning point that it became more than a hobby?
I wish I could tell you that it was some elaborate, unique story, but man, my story is just like everybody else's out there. You start barbecuing, with your parents when you're a kid,
Mhm.
and obviously I had to, pay my dues, and I was the grill cleanup guy there for a long time before I actually got to cook anything. But hey,
Okay.
like I said, you got to pay your dues. So anyway, as I said, I started off, with helping my parents out when we were kids.
Hmm.
Having different barbecue, events and this, that, and the other, and just fell in love with it. And as I grew older and moved out on my own, I just kept up with it. Did it more and more. I was that guy that would be in a on the third floor of an apartment building
Okay.
with a barbecue grill going on the balcony, which is a no-no.
Yeah, yeah.
So I may have gotten caught doing that a time or two, but that's just what I did. And anyway, I did that for years, man. And fast forward to when I was in my house and
Yeah.
I was making barbecue for everybody in my cul-de-sac, and people would always tell you barbecue's good, right? But
Uh-huh.
if you're giving them barbecue, they're probably going to tell you it's good. So if people will pay you for that barbecue, well, then
Mm.
maybe you're on to something.
Yeah.
So and so that's how we actually got started and turned it into something that became some sort of income to it. And so
Yeah.
I started my LLC. This was back in 2007. Did on-site barbecue catering, and it just kind of progressed from there. Fast forward to, I think it was 2019, December 2019. My wife and one of my best friends they were always on me about doing YouTube, and I should start doing YouTube.
Yeah.
And so 2019 was when we finally released the first video, and don't go look at it because it was absolutely horrible. But but yeah, that's how we got started, and so we've been kind of cranking along ever since.
Your how to make smoked brisket made for beginners has
Yeah.
4.2 million views, man. Like that's impacting so many people and their ability to cook. It's amazing to have that much impact. Can you kind of speak on that? Like your connection with your yeah, just your audience and the people that your fans and friends and
Yeah.
family. Yeah.
Yeah. So a funny story about that, how that video came about was so you remember we went through COVID and we
Yeah.
went through a time period where it was like impossible to find ground beef. And
Right.
so I went to my local Costco and I bought these two measly looking little briskets. I think they were 10, 11 pounds, something like that. And the total intention was with that was I was going to bring them home, grind them up, and just make
Hmm.
some hamburger meat. And brought them home, and they sat in the fridge for a day or two. And I asked my wife, "Hey, so you still want me to go ahead and grind these up?" She says, "No, just go ahead and smoke them."
Hmm.
And I said, "Well, you know what? I need to shoot a video, so I'll tell you what. I'll just go ahead and shoot a video on how to make brisket for beginners type thing."
Hmm.
And that's how that thing started. Almost didn't happen.
Wow. So it just like happened that your wife was like, you should make brisket. And you're like, okay, I'll
Yeah.
shoot a video.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely. And I mean, and like I said, they were the measliest looking little
Sure.
briskets. But it was more about the process more so than the actual look of the brisket, so to
Yeah.
speak.
Right.
And so yeah, I just kind of made that video and just kind of made it step by step. Tried
Right.
to make it as simple as possible. If for people out there that are new to my channel and what I do here,
Yeah.
man, what I try to do is I try to, make the recipes as simple and as repeatable as possible. I'm giving the very basics because, a lot of people get stuck in that. They go to YouTube and, oh, so and so said you have to cook, your brisket this way, or so and so said you have to cook it that way. And I'm here to tell you that, you play around with it. You find, your
Hmm.
style. Yeah, you might listen to this person, that person, and so forth, and pick a little bit from each one, but you develop your own style.
Right.
And so that's what I kind of do is I try to make things as simple and as repeatable as possible. And so when I put that video out, and it finally took off, man, I had so many people, saying as far as the connections with the audience, had so many people contacting me, whether it was comments on the video, whether it was through IG,
Yeah.
DMs or emails or whatever. And it was so many people that were like, man, brisket has always been so hard, and now you've actually made me to where I can make one.
Yeah.
And I tried my first brisket using your video and everybody loved it, and
Oh, that's so great to
so
hear.
yeah, I'd love to hear, those types of stories. And I think the ones that really get me are the wives, the wives
Oh,
that are out there.
yeah.
There's so many women in barbecue out there that have taken this video and now their husbands are trying to catch up. Like, wait, you made this? How did you make this? So,
Right.
so yeah.
Speaking on that, is there a barbecue rule out there that you just love to break?
I'm not one of those guys that I'm not bound by internal temperatures.
Okay.
Okay, and let me make sure I clarify on that. When I'm talking about, doing poultry or something like that, yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Because you don't want to get anybody sick. But,
Mm.
when we're talking about brisket is super well done. Because I mean, you think about it, and this is the way I kind of explain it to people, because
Mhm.
the number one question we always get is, fat cap up or down, and
Sure.
then second is going to be what internal temperature.
Mm.
And I always say, okay, fat cap, the fat goes between the heat and the meat, because it protects your meat.
Yep.
Now, temperatures, man, I don't care. It's all about tenderness. I don't care what the internal
Ah,
temperature is.
right.
So, and the way that I kind of explain it is this way: brisket is beef. Well, we eat steak, right? A lot of people eat steak rare or
Yeah.
even medium rare. And you think about that for a minute, you're talking an internal temperature of 125 degrees to 138, maybe 140.
Yeah.
People are eating they're consuming their steaks, within that temperature range, right? Well, brisket, we already know, is well past that.
Yeah.
Well past. So you're not going to get sick. It's not an issue of getting sick. So we don't care what the internal temperature is at that point. And so what I do is I do everything to tenderness. So if I can poke my brisket with a temperature probe or a toothpick or
Mhm.
whatever, and it feels tender to me, then I know I got it where I need it to be. It's that simple. Like I said before, I try to make things as super simple as possible.
Right. So
Let's
you
not
don't
get
just
hung up. Yeah.
yeah. So you don't need the internal thermometer or any of these gadgets necessarily.
Not necessarily for something like that, for
Right.
brisket or pulled pork or
Right.
ribs, things that are very well done.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, absolutely, I'll use it, as just a check,
Hmm.
when I'm making a steak, I'm grilling a steak, or
Sure.
reverse searing steak, something like that I need to really pay attention to temperatures.
Yeah.
Then I'll use it. But for the what people call the mecca of barbecue with brisket, no, I'm not doing that.
Do you have any unconventional techniques or accessories that you've discovered that you really like using that you think other people should know about?
Not necessarily any techniques or anything like that. I think the thing that I try to push people to do is get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Okay.
Don't follow what everybody is telling you to do. Feel your way through your cook and find your way. you know uh
Yeah.
Nobody's gonna be Aaron Franklin.
Right.
That's Aaron. Don't try to cook like Aaron Franklin. Don't try to cook like this person or me or anybody. Cook like you.
Cook
Do
like
your
you.
thing. Yeah, do
Yeah.
your thing. Have fun with what you do, because you know what, some of these people are coming up with unconventional methods because they tried something different. You
Right.
might be the next big thing. Try your
Yeah.
own thing. Yeah, try your
That's
own thing.
awesome.
Don't
That's
be
great.
afraid.
That's great advice. That really is.
Absolutely.
Is just kind of cook, be yourself, and cook how you want to cook. Try new things, and yeah, don't be
Have
afraid to
fun.
just do it. Yeah, have fun. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the
Yeah.
biggest thing. The biggest thing is, people get nervous because they're like, "Oh man, I don't want to mess up this brisket. I don't want to mess up this ribeye roast, or whatever."
Yeah.
And trust me, I totally get it.
I've burnt ribs. I've burnt brisket. Like I've messed things up. I really have. Like
But it's part of the
unedibly.
process,
Yeah, yeah.
you
I had
know.
to learn,
Yeah,
definitely.
absolutely, it's part of the process. The thing that I always tell people is, regardless of what happens with any cook, you got to have fun with it.
Mm.
Life's too short to be all stressed out. You're in the backyard with a grill. You
Yeah.
probably got your favorite beverage in your hand or close by, and you got fire going and meat's on, and people are having a good time. So enjoy it.
Have you ever had a total disaster of one of your cooks that maybe you learned from in your videos? I think you had one pretty recently, actually.
That was hilarious. That one was hilarious. And it was the easiest of things too. So
Sure.
basically, we got in this conversation. This is really funny as to why I even put it in the videos. We were doing our podcast a couple of weeks ago, and we got into this whole conversation
Hmm.
about how people think that as YouTube personalities and barbecue influencers, we don't ever mess up because everything we do is so perfect.
Right.
We're like, you guys don't understand TV magic. There's so many things that we mess up, and
Sure.
people just don't see it. So here we are. I'm doing a grilled shrimp Caesar salad, something very, very simple and easy. And I decided I'm going to make my own croutons. And so the funny thing is I've kind of gotten my method down to when I go and I set up my grill and do what I'm doing. There's time for me to take the camera, come back in the studio, upload it to my PC,
Sure.
throw it in my editor. I can kind of do some editing or whatever, so that by the time I get to the end of the cook, the video is probably 75 to 80% done for the rough cut, right?
Wow. So you're actually editing kind of at like and in time you're using the
Yeah, yeah,
cook.
well, kind of, sort of. I'm kind of putting
Yeah.
everything in the editor and kind of putting the different clips and sequence and things like
Sure.
that.
Sure.
And then when I finish the cook and record the last parts of it or whatever, I can come in and throw it in. And then once I have that rough draft together, now we can go and do the real editing. But at least we
Totally.
have
Right.
everything. The story is already there,
The
ready to be
story.
told.
Yeah.
And so this day I came in and I got this, got this stuff in here. And I'm putting, whatever, and I got my little automated friend over here telling me, when this amount of time was going to be up for me to go check. And so I go out to go, check my croutons. Simple thing in croutons, nothing hard. And I went out there and I was cooking on my Weber kettle, and I accidentally left my Weber kettle lid cracked. And so there was too much air in there.
Yeah.
And as soon as I walked out the door, when you get in tune with your grills, you can smell it in the air. When I
Sure.
smell that metal or whatever, I can smell when things are too hot. So I went out there and popped the lid, and man, these croutons literally look like charcoal.
Yeah.
So, and one of I had said to my community, I said, "Hey, man, y'all check this out. This is just to let y'all know, hey,
Yeah.
we mess up too.
Yeah. Right.
We all have our little whatevers, but we learn from them. But have fun with this, laugh at it, because I know I did,
Right.
and somebody had said, man, I thought you had charcoal on the tray there, and I was like, it definitely was dark enough to be charcoal, and I didn't think about that. I probably could have cooked with it,
Right.
but no, I
So
mean, things like that happen. So
yeah. When you're choosing how or something or a technique to show or cook, is that mostly determined, you feel like, by the algorithm? Or how do you determine what you're going to cook?
a lot of it comes from looking to see what's trending. What is it that people are looking for?
Right.
What is it that maybe there was something that we put out that was popular, and people had a lot of questions in the comments, or even
Oh, yeah.
other people's material that are in this space.
Hmm.
We all kind of know each other, we all support each other, we watch each other's content, this and that and the other, but we may see comments there that people are asking about a certain process or this and that and the other. And you know what, maybe I'll jump in there and do something on that to expand on it. And so
Cool.
then you
Yeah.
start to develop some different ideas of what you might want to do.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't even listen to all that. Sometimes, you get into a situation where you do so much for other people you don't get to do for you. And so
Right.
it's kind of like I've told people, well, out of every 5 videos, make one video that's whatever you want to do,
Mm-hmm.
just to kind of keep it fresh.
Yeah.
So that's what I kind of try to do.
If your kids were to design their dream barbecue, what would be on it?
Oh, they would just pick up the phone and call me and say, "Hey, Dad, can you cook something?"
But what would they pick?
No,
What would they make you cook?
the funny thing that's ongoing is one of my daughters has been at me for so long where she wants me to make pulled pork spaghetti.
Oh.
And so I'm like, I've got a pork butt in
Uh-huh.
the fridge now that I need to make pulled pork with. So I'll probably do that here pretty soon. But definitely pulled pork is going to be on that list. Brisket is going to be on that list. Ribs will be on that
Mm-hmm.
list. Um,
Pork or beef?
both really.
Oh wow! All right,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
doing both. Okay.
yeah. You know, beef ribs here. It's basically brisket on a stick.
Yeah.
It's brisket with a handle is what we call it. So, it's all the same. And that's funny. That's a little, pro tip for you guys out there that are,
Totally.
learning to cook. I've heard people say many times, "Oh man, I'm so nervous when it comes to beef ribs. I don't know what to do." It's like,
Right.
man, you cook it just like a brisket. You
Pro
say
tip right there, guys.
yeah, you season it up just like a brisket. How and my flavor profile is salt and pepper. Kosher salt and 16 mesh black pepper from Fiesta.
Mm-hmm.
I happen to love that. That's a Central Texas thing. I love
Yep.
those flavors. There's a million rubs out there,
Yeah.
right? There's
There's
a
so many.
million, and I probably got pretty much 80% of them. I got them in here,
Yeah.
but I don't really cook with them all the time because I like to go back to my flavor profile. And
Right.
so the big tip to people out there is one, cook it like a brisket, and two, do your own flavor profiles. Play around with different stuff and taste them, and definitely taste stuff straight out of the bottle. A lot of
Oh.
people don't do that, and they wait and they put it on meat or whatever, and now you're committed to it.
Mhm. for
Taste it.
for
Yeah,
hours, probably. Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
taste it out of
Yeah.
the bottle, and if it tastes good out of the bottle, 9 times out of 10, it's going to taste good when you finish the product.
Very good. Yeah. Great advice right there. Taste it before you put it on your meat.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, you think about all the cooking shows we watch, and
Yeah.
you see chefs that are in competitions that they're cooking stuff that they've never cooked before, and the first thing they do is taste it.
They really do. Yeah.
You
That's
know,
very true.
so
Right.
what does
Yeah.
this taste like? Okay, now I know what it tastes like.
Hmm.
Now you can kind of go through that mental Rolodex and figure out what flavor. Oh, well, this will work with that, or that'll work.
Pair with
Okay, now,
this.
and now you've got a game plan as to what you want to do.
What lesson would you love to pass on to the next generation of young barbecue chefs?
Absolutely, don't get stuck on technology. Technology
Ooh.
is a fantastic tool,
Uh-huh.
but don't get stuck on technology. The funny thing about that is, again, we're speaking of the algorithm and it dictating what you're going to be. And so it's funny, when I have people that are new to my channel and they jump in like they're coming in with, some great little lick of wisdom that I never thought of before, and that's building a fire. And they don't understand that I'm actually a stick burner. I love to build fires. I love to do live fire cooking.
Yeah.
It's just that the algorithm for my channel, because that brisket video
Uh,
popped on a pellet grill, they want to see pellet grill cooks from me. So I do a lot of pellet grill stuff.
right.
I work with a pellet grill maker, so I make stuff for them, and
Sure.
and so people think that that's all I do, and it's like, man, that couldn't be further from the truth. I'd love to burn wood and make my own coals and do the slow and low stuff over coals for 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, whatever. And so that's just how I like to cook. Well, you can't do that all the time if you're stuck on technology.
Yeah.
You lose, for me, I think you kind of lose that feel for cooking. I've told people in my videos, I do my cooking by feel.
Yeah.
People, yeah, but what temperature? I don't care. You're cooking a brisket or ribs or whatever on a Weber kettle. Well, what was your internal temperature? I have no idea.
Right.
In 9 times out of 10, when you buy a Weber kettle and you know where they put the temperature gauge on it versus where they have the vent on it,
Hmm.
when you're cooking indirect, that thermometer's over the fire anyway and not over your meat, so you're not getting accurate readings anyway.
Right.
So it doesn't really matter. I cook by feel. If I put this meat on and I got my coals on and I come back and do a check an hour later and the meat looks still super raw, maybe I'm not cooking hot enough. If it's starting to get crispy on the edges, maybe I'm cooking too
Mhm.
hot. I
Right.
just kind of read the cook and just
Yeah.
adjust on the fly.
All right. So advice to the young cooks out there is don't get hooked on technology.
Yeah, learn by feel, cook by feel. Start learning how to understand and be on. Because what happens when you are cooking something and it malfunctions? Are you just not going to be able to finish that meal now?
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. You actually do a lot of gear reviewing. Is there something that really gets under your skin that like of these things that are out there?
Everything's claiming to be the best, greatest, thing that is going to revolutionize cooking.
Yeah.
And you've never been able to cook before until now. No.
Sure. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of fantastic products out there that absolutely can make your life a lot easier when you're cooking. I just prefer not to depend on them all the time. There may be days where I may be lazy or I may have other things to do, but you know what? I want a brisket or I want, ribs or whatever. Man, let me put this over here and let cruise control take care of it while I'm going to handle this. So there's a time and place for it, absolutely.
Yeah.
But just don't get so stuck on it, is all I'm saying.
3 words to describe your barbecue style.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Let's see. Unconventional in some ways, meaning I don't always stick to the status quo. Again, I'm going to say manual
Mm.
because I do like to get in there and manage the fires and coals and things of that nature and not necessarily, depend on technology.
Right.
And when I'm cooking, not for video, but when I'm cooking for here, bold. I like to be bold with the flavors. I don't like
Oh.
to
Yeah.
have things to be so muted that you got to add this to it or add that to it. And, you
You
know,
want that right off the first bite.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
not so much like, I don't want to get it confused with like competition style because
Sure.
I'm nowhere near competition. No knock to those guys because they're phenomenal. I know a lot of great, fantastic competition cooks, but I also, my wife and I went and got certified to be SCA judges, which is Steak Cooking Association.
Oh,
And
cool.
so, learning and seeing the stuff that they have to do or that they do to the proteins, because if you're going against 100 people, that bite you make's got to stand out. So you got to pump it with this and pump it with that. So
Yeah,
it's
right.
nothing you would want to eat, in the
Right,
backyard.
right. Oh, interesting. Yeah, I've never
So
tasted competition meat or food at
oh
all.
man, it will slap you in the mouth. I mean, that's just what it's supposed to do.
Right, you're supposed to get everything on. I've actually never even thought of that. That's interesting.
Oh yeah, it's a
Yeah.
huge difference between backyard barbecue and competition barbecue. Absolutely.
If you had to face off with a celebrity in a winner takes all barbecue competition, who would you want to face off with?
There's two.
Oh, cool.
So one would be Rodney Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying that I would beat either one of these guys because again, I'm not a competition, but
Totally. Yeah.
I respect the hell out of these guys for what they do, and I just want to meet them. And
Absolutely.
I've never met Rodney Scott yet, so he
Uh-huh.
would be one. I would really love to cook with him. And the other would be Michael Simon, Iron Chef Michael Simon.
Iron Chef. Cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Which funny story on that, right quick, is talking about competition barbecue. One of my friends is like kicking butt on competition all over the country, grand
Awesome.
champion, this and that and the other. Anyway, long story short, there was a show that was out that was called Barbecue USA, and my friend Bill's on there. Chicken Fried Barbecue. His name is Bill Purvis. Was
Cool.
on there, and he knows that I want to meet Michael Simon. Well, Michael
Uh-huh.
Simon was hosting this show and going around with these guys all over the place, and they were 20 minutes from my house, and Billy hit me up that the week before and says, "Hey, I'm going to be at this competition next week. Whatever, you should come out." And I said, "Well,
Yeah.
man, I wish I could, but I still have a real job that I have to go to, and I can't make it." He says, "No, man, you really should come out."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Man, if I could, I really would." And
Mhm.
then it was one of those things where he couldn't tell me
Oh, right.
that Michael Simon's going to be there. You should come out. And so when I saw it on the show, I was like, "Oh my gosh, man, I missed a big one there."
Oh, all right. Well,
So,
there's still time, I'm sure.
oh, absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely,
definitely. And you're in the right circle, so
yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
One of these
No,
days it'll
that'll
happen. I'll meet
happen.
him somewhere.
Let's audience. Let's try to make that happen for him
Yeah, that would be great.
somehow. I don't know. That'd be really fun.
And tell him bring along Bobby Flay too, because he's
Okay,
he's
well,
all
there's our
favorite.
third. Yeah. If your grill could talk, what would it say about you?
That I'm relentless and I'm always tinkering around with it. I don't think a lot of people understand. I'm literally, I would go back here in the backyard
Mhm.
and I would be, back there bored and literally would start a fire in my offset just to watch how the wood burns.
Just to kind of see how it moves and
Yeah,
burns
just
and
just to
flows.
see how the
Yeah.
flame is moving and how I can control the flame this way, control the flame that way. Can I make this thing? Every pit, man, I always tell people this,
Right.
every pit has its comfort zone as to where it wants to
Mm,
run. Don't fight it, right?
right.
So, for instance, my insulated backyard pit, I mean, cruise control at 300 degrees.
Wow.
Absolute
Yeah.
cruise
Right.
control. But nah, man, I want to do, I want to get down to 200 degrees and let's see if I can hold that for 5, 6, 7, 8 hours,
Right.
and can I do
Mhm.
that? And I'll be back there doing that. And my wife will come back there and say, "Oh, what you cooking?" Nothing. And I'm just sitting there staring at the fire.
You're literally not cooking
Nothing.
anything.
She's like, "You're
Right.
not cooking anything?" Like, "No, I'm not cooking. I'm just playing around with the fire and trying to, work on management." And she's like, "Seriously?" It's like, "I thought you were cooking." "No, I'm not cooking anything."
Yeah.
Or we'll be floating around in the pool, and I'm like, "Man, there should be some smoke in there." So I'll go build a fire just so we can smell
Just some
post up
smoke.
while we're floating in the pool.
Describe your perfect backyard hangout. No filming.
Man, as long as we got grills going, and I got. So the funny thing is I've got probably in the neighborhood of 25 to 30 grills right now.
Eee.
I would love to have every single grill lit with somebody cooking on every single one of them.
Wow.
And
That's
just have just a big bash back here, pool party, barbecue party, just have a good time.
20 plus grills going all at once doing different things.
Absolutely.
Different
Absolutely.
temps, different cooks.
Yeah, man.
That
I mean, I'm
sounds
talking
awesome.
live fire cookers,
Yeah.
smokers,
Kamado.
Brazilian grills, yeah, Kamado
Yeah.
grills,
Yeah.
everything, you name it. Have every one of them going.
Is there a technique, a recipe, or flavor profile you think would be perfect on a Kamado? Because here at Vessel's Kamado, that's what we make, and we were just wondering if there was a recipe you think would be perfect for it.
My flavor profiles are all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
I love I always tell my wife, I'm like, "Man, I think I was supposed to be born in Argentina." Because I do this live fire cooking, and one of my friends is like really huge in that space, and he's already told me, he says, "Man, I'm working on your getting your Argentinian citizenship." So
Ooh.
but no, I mean, I've done things with the Kamado is great because it can be versatile as well,
Right.
as long as you understand how to cook with it. I mean, a lot of people say, "Oh, it gets too hot and I can't control it," and blah 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 blah.
Mhm.
And that's just basic fire management when you first start cooking out or whatever. You just have to understand how to set it up and what to do. But I say that to say that, man, I can do slow and low stuff. I can do the fast stuff. One of the things that I think really, I cook well on a Kamado is like a reverse sear tomahawk.
Oh yeah.
You can put that thing on there, and even with a ribeye roast, which is basically the same thing, but you can put that thing on there and smoke it to, I usually smoke to about 110 degrees,
Mm-hmm.
get it off, let it kind of rest down, kick up that heat on that thing, and then let's go ahead and grill this thing off, and pull it at 127, 128 degrees. Referring back to, that's when I use technology. So once we get to that 127, 128, pull it off, let that thing rest up to 133, 134, and then we're ready to go. So on a Kamado, absolutely works great. Another thing that I really like on the Kamado, which I just actually used the small vessels Kamado here
Oh, cool.
the other day, and I did short ribs, and I did kind of a Japanese style, flank and cut rib, where I had it marinated in some Japanese spices and kind of a barbecue sauce, and then pull those out, got them dusted up a little bit, slap them on the grill on high heat, and then you put that with some pickled vegetables and some sushi rice, and man, you got a whole meal right there.
Sounds fun. Oh man, you're getting me hungry.
Yeah. I actually did that as a short on or a reel on my Instagram channel here the other day, so you should check it out.
Oh, I definitely will. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, speaking of that, where can our audience find you? Where is your content?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I'm on pretty much all the social platforms. YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. It's the Dawgfatha's BBQ, and that's DAWGFATHAS So you can find me there. Also, it's the same at Gmail. If you want to email me, it's the Dawgfatha's BBQ at Gmail. You can also find me on the Pit Boss Grills YouTube channel. I'm on a couple of playlists over there. One of them is called the Backyard Bosses. And then we just launched a playlist that's my own playlist here recently that's called Barbecue Boulevard with the Dawgfatha. So the space that I have back here that we cook at, my set, so to speak, is called Barbecue Boulevard. So that's where that came from. Yeah.